A very warm welcome and a very good afternoon to all our audience on Zoom as well as on YouTube. Hi, Suresh. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another episode of Shared Event from Decathlon Exchange in conversation with Suresh on IDM, mission, and development plan. As Sangeeta said, it's going to be a 1 hour exchange, 40 minutes of conversation, and 20 minutes of Q&A. Let's begin. And yes, our audience will be muted all the time to limit the sound distractions. And for sure, we will try our best to keep it natural as possible. And that's the whole aim of this activity. I hope, right, Suresh? Okay, so let's begin. Suresh, I hope you're hearing me. And to begin with,
Yeah,
I
Palak, yeah.
really, great. Just would like to really start with it's been a long journey for you in Decathlon. What has been that journey like in Decathlon? Because we have audience across India. It would be great to really start. Who are you and what your journey looks like?
Thank you, Palak. Thank you, Sangeeta, for inviting me for this conversation, and thank you for everyone joining live across India as well. I'm really, really pleased that I can share some of my experiences with you, and I hope you will find it useful.
Sure.
Palak, so it's been 10 years for me in Decathlon. I still remember why I joined Decathlon was when I was in college. A lot of my friends did internships in Decathlon, and they said, everyone is approachable, and the culture, it's really, really simple. People are approachable, it's really simple. So that stuck in my head. And the moment I finished college, out of the several companies, I thought, because it's stuck in my head, I thought this is the right place for me to join and pursue my career. And obviously, it's been 10 years now. I've started in Sarjapur. Um, I then moved to the science sports team. I then moved to two other cities in Hyderabad and Mumbai to work in the stores. And finally, I'm in Kolkata for the past 5 years to manage the Kolkata project. Yeah, so that's about me. I hope we can get started.
Absolutely, absolutely. I so much can relate when you say 10 years back, you just heard from your friends and just dive in. Okay, let me see what is decathlon. And it's the same story as well with me. No idea, but I heard the sports story from the friends, and that's it. Let's see. So thank you. Now that you have had your journey in terms of working with the stores, working in the retail environment, working with science sport team, and the journey of 10 years, if you can share with us, what about the culture stood out, for you? What about the culture stayed with you? What made you stay in Decathlon?
I think right from day one, I clearly remember some of the basic things was you need to be autonomous and you need to be responsible. And I think almost all of us live it in Decathlon, and I particularly like it because I like to take responsibility, and I like to have my space also. When I mean my space, I would like to have the autonomy to express myself. And one of the reasons I've been in Decathlon for so long, and I hope for many more years to come, is that I love this part of Decathlon, the autonomy, the responsibility. And also you get to work with a lot of different people. You're not just stuck with one leader throughout your career. So I've had about 4 or 5 or 6 over the past 10 years. And each time I've received the right guidance, um, which for me is really, really important because, most people, I imagine 70, 80% of us join when we're really, really young. So I like that part of Decathlon where, there are people to guide you in every step of
Yeah.
the way and also give you the space to grow.
Okay. Yeah, amazing. I'm just trying to understand when you say this guidance, I really have to ask you, um, what are the spaces where do you think in Decathlon we can get something like guidance? What are the spaces where we can really accompany our teammates when it comes to guidance?
So when I mean about guidance, it can happen every day uh, because we're working as a team always. More formally, in order to give direction, it could also be the individual meeting. Um, because maybe you cannot meet your leader every day, you cannot meet your ecosystem every day. So I think the individual meeting is the right time, at least every 4 weeks, to exchange on what's happening, how are you progressing, and what help do you need. I don't see it in a lot of other companies. Decathlon is the only company that I work for. But from friends that I worked for working outside, there's no such concept of an individual meeting every 4 weeks. So I think it's one of our biggest strengths in Decathlon is that we meet regularly every 4 weeks to help progress in the project and for our personal development.
Absolutely. Yeah. And really curious at this moment to know, what was your first IDM like? Like, it's been 10 years. And for sure, I'm very more than me. I think I'm sure the audience are very curious to know if you remember your first individual decision meeting. What has been that experience like? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, my first individual meeting, I was really excited because I could meet my leader and just to share with how my time has been in Decathlon. And to express myself on how I'm doing and how to do things. So it was more about me getting the right guidance to improve and to develop my project. So I still have all my IDMs kept nicely archived over the last 10 years. So
like
when I read them, it's funny.
And you have the first document as well.
Yeah.
All right. Just to really go to the next part, which I'm also again curious to know. But yes, Sangeeta.
Sorry, Suresh, most of our YouTube audience is messaging saying your voice is wavering a lot. Is it possible to keep your microphone? Yeah, that would be better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I need to repeat myself or is it okay?
Okay.
It's okay.
All right. So thank you really for bringing out your first experience. And I'm just trying to see if I have my first document ever, 8 years back somewhere archived. Great. So may I know, Suresh, now it would be great to know from you that as a teammate first, for sure, in Decathlon, how often do you meet your leaders? Very curious to know that part. It's been quite a journey for you. How often do you meet your leaders?
So I make it a point to meet them every 4 weeks, just to see how they're progressing and try helping them. So yes, I meet them every 4 weeks without fail.
And this has always been 4 weeks throughout your 10 years?
For me personally, in the beginning, it was every 4 weeks. As I matured in my role, and now I've been in the role in Kolkata for the past 5.5 years now. So I mutually agree with my leader on how often to meet. So it could be between 4 to 6 weeks each time, because sometimes strategies take that much longer to implement. So it's mutually agreed at this moment of time because I'm in my role for 5.5 years now. But in the beginning, I really emphasize in the beginning, I think it's absolutely important that irrespective of the circumstances, you try meeting your teammates at least once every 4 weeks so that you keep in touch and move forward.
Wow. Okay. Just trying to see the difference because you said it was always 4 weeks in the beginning, which I'm thinking how new you were. You were trying to develop yourself. And over the period of years when you evolved, you now have for almost 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Great. Now, may I ask you how, as a leader, you are in IDM with your teammates? What do you exactly do? Do you have some examples to share as a leader? How is your experience like, and what exactly do you do in your IDMs with your teammates?
I mean, I've evolved over time on how I do my individual meeting with teammates as well. What I try to do is also to get, over the 10 years, I've done some best practices as well from my leaders. Right from trying to obtain or find solutions for teammates on the day. For example, even with my previous leader, Nasira, I got the habit of taking a round of the layout and being a safe with the teammate each time. With Steve, he taught me the importance of a development plan. So I try to inculcate all that in my individual meeting with my teammates. So partly if I tried spending a day with them, because I meet them once every 4 weeks, so I spend a day with them. I start off by walking through the store, seeing the store, giving some feedback, listening to them. Sorry, Sangeeta.
Suresh, your voice is still wavering. I think it's the mic that you are using because some more words, even I'm not able to hear clearly.
Okay, so can I speak on my earbud? Maybe I'll.
Yeah, maybe we can try without the speakers, the headphones. You want to try, Suresh?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sangeeta, is it better?
Yeah, it looks like, yes.
Yes, it sounds better for the moment. I'll ping you if there is a concern.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to go back on that. So I usually spend an entire day with my teammate. We take a round of the store. We do an SEF. Then we look at his or her pleasure and displeasure. Go through their mission, their development plan, and they explain what are the strategies they've implemented, going to implement. And we also meet teammates who want to share best practices. We try meeting them to give feedback. So it's a day-long affair, which I try to help with.
Absolutely clear. Okay. The sense I'm trying to get and understand is your day. You have one whole day. As the format says, we try to spend a day with the teammate. You are doing your SCF, pleasure, displeasure, development plan discussion, mission, as well as what are the strategies they would like to apply in coming weeks. Great. But here, if you have to be a little bit more concrete and tell us what are the key factors that you really take care or you follow as Suresh in your IDMs?
So for me, I think the most important aspect of an IDM is preparation. I think the better prepared you are, the more fruitful the IDM is going to be. So for me, preparation is the key. And also what is important is to look at your IDM in a linear manner. It means, thanks to your mission, your strategies in IDM must be synchronized over a period of 12 months. It cannot be something new every time, because then you're not following a certain strategy. And that's why for me, a mission is also important, that enables you to see in a linear manner what you're going to do throughout the year.
Yeah.
So preparation is key, and following a certain strategy with your mission is absolutely key for an individual meeting.
Yeah. Okay, nice. And when you talk about preparation as the key, Suresh, who takes the decisions in individual decision meetings?
So it has to be the teammate taking the decisions. The leader needs to speak less. The teammate needs to speak at least 80% of the time to understand what they want to do, linked to the mission, linked to the development, linked to the local project.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely important. But I still remember, I mean, in the beginning, maybe a leader will need to give you a lot of guidance.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned the role, you must be taking ownership of the day, because it is a day really for you. And that is absolutely important. It's not a day for your leader to come and check what's happening. It is a day for you to showcase how you are doing and how your team is doing.
Yeah.
So once people start realizing that, your approach changes.
Yeah.
Instead of preparing a document for your leader, you prepare it for yourself.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and does this mean that when you were newcomer, like 0 to 6 months, you did not decide? Because you said 80% of your time the teammates decides, right? But when you are newcomer, what happens? How do you really accompany that part as a leader?
I mean, as a newcomer, I think leaders need to spend more time. Just hold on. I think they asked me to use my laptop mic.
All right.
Sorry, guys, just give me 30 seconds. Let me.
We are with you, Suresh.
Palak, am I audible?
Absolutely, yes. All okay. Great.
Much better, Suresh.
Yay.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
No problem. Okay. Yeah. So I was asking you about when you say, preparation is the key in terms of, And I asked you the second question was who takes the decisions in IDMs, individual decision meeting? And you said it's almost 80% of the time, it's the teammates who speak and another 20% is just for the leader. So in that case, does this mean when you joined the Decathlon, you did not decide? Because it's a bit like confusing saying, okay, when you are a newcomer, what happens in that case? Who accompanies you as a role of a leader?
So yeah, so when I mean, what I mean is you always need to listen. I think that's a good trait to have. In the beginning, you need to learn a lot more about how our business works. So you need to do a lot of listening in the beginning. It does not mean that you don't take decisions. For example, I started taking decisions after 2 or 3 months. I mean,
Wow.
Decathlon, you're allowed to make mistakes. So I started taking a lot of decisions from very early on. But at the same time, what I'm trying to emphasize here is that you learn the basics well. And you only learn it well when you do a lot of listening in the beginning to understand how things work and do it the right way. Instead of making a lot of mistakes and learning, make a few mistakes, but we've already done a lot of mistakes and learned from it. So learn to do it the right way in the very start itself.
Yeah. It's like giving responsibility at an early age. That's Suresh. It just reminds me to ask you, when teammate starts deciding, what is your role then as the leader? What do you do?
So listen and keep listening and then give feedback. As long as the decisions are linked to the project, let's go ahead.
Yeah. Such a crucial point when you just tell me about feedback. It's just 360 opens up. And I really want to ask you, when you just told me about feedback, I want to ask you about something very important, which is sending the IDM file before 48 hours. Why this is so important? Like, what happens? To be really honest with you, share with you, do you actually go through the IDM of a teammate, of your teammate, when, and do you believe in such concept at first,
So yeah, so I really, really believe in it. As I've stayed longer in Decathlon, I really, really believe in it because, like I said previously, I think preparation is the key.
Yeah.
And if your leader has to prepare for the meeting well, he or she would need it at least 24 to 48 hours in advance so that they get the time to write their feedback, think about a possible few solutions that you had problems with, get some ideas, align it. So it's a day of preparation for your leader to come with the right solutions for you. But if you send it at the last minute, it won't be as effective as it should have been.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's absolutely important that everyone prepares, and it's a day for them, like I mentioned before, and sends it at least 24 to 48 hours in advance.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And it's just, I'm very curious now, what happens when you do your IDM with Steve? Is there any other practices or any tips that you have that you want to share with us?
No, I mean, with Steve, he's been coaching me for the past 2.5 years. What is different is we focus more on we focus equally on my development. Yeah, and then the rest is like a classic individual meeting that everyone in the company has. But we also take at least 30 to 40% of the time to focus on my development. How am I doing? How am I evolving in Decathlon? And what do I need to do to improve myself?
Yeah.
So that's quite unique because we do it every 4 weeks, or whenever we meet every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. And when you were saying about uniqueness, it just reminds me to ask you, what are the factors that you consider, or what are the things that you really account for when it comes to pleasure and displeasure? Because frankly speaking, when I joined Decathlon, in the beginning, like literally, I did not have any displeasure. I mean, and my manager that time said, okay, this is not normal. And this is, what I heard was, okay, this is beyond pleasure and displeasure. So I just want to know, when you are into IDM with Steve, and what are the things that you really account for?
I think why pleasure and displeasure is important is to get to know one another better. what really you like doing, what you don't like doing, what are the problems. It builds a trust. And also it helps your leader or yourself to find solutions to whatever you're not happy with, or at least listen to it. One of the magic of writing down your pleasure and displeasure is at least it's off your head and someone knows about it. And eventually we could find a solution. Most times we find a solution, but sometimes we cannot. It's the reality of life. But at least when you put it down there, we move forward.
Yeah.
And that's important. It could be your professional, it could be a personal life. If you have anything in your personal life, you could work around in the professional environment. It could be the other way around. So it's absolutely important to share your pleasure and displeasure to understand oneself better.
Yeah.
What do you like? I mean, what gave you happiness in the past 4 weeks? It's important to know.
Yeah.
Or what you didn't like, it's important to know.
Yeah, for sure. And you're so right when you are saying that start writing down. It just reminds me to ask you, what is the importance of documenting the IDM? And like you just said, a few minutes earlier, that over the period of 10 years, you have been documenting that. And what is that importance in Decathlon?
So I think it is important because the way I look at it is it's a pit stop every 4 weeks. So you get a chance to, everyone is working really, really fast in Decathlon. I mean, we're busy throughout the day, but at least every 3 to 4 weeks, you stop, you reflect, you see what's happening with your mission, you see what's happening with your personal development, you see what's happening with your performance, and then realign or re-strategize or, take some, it's a pit stop. It's to reflect, because you just can't keep going fast, because you won't know where you're going. So for me, the individual meeting is like a pit stop.
Yeah, sure. Okay, great. And just going back to what you were saying in terms of to move forward, to really take a pause and reflect when it comes to pleasure, displeasure, mission, you said, as well as development plan and strategies. And here I would like to take some time and ask you, when it comes to mission, what are the key factors that you take care while writing?
So for me, the mission is it's a very exciting part. Let's say from building a budget and writing a mission is two exciting things that you do in the year. I say from many others, but it's very, very strategic. And that's why I like writing a mission. For me, I take into consideration the local project. For me, that comes first. Obviously, it is also linked to the Decathlon India's project.
Yeah, sure.
So I take these two into consideration. And also I take into consideration the inherent strengths of a store or a city. Okay, I take what can we do that is unique to the city or to the store? What are my strengths? So I consider all these factors. The project of the city, it could be for your store. Is it aligned with Decathlon Sports India's project? What are your strengths? Make sure it reflects in your mission. And also take into consideration the unique opportunities that you have in your store or in your city. So it's a mix of your strengths, what you're passionate about to do in your local city, and in alignment with Decathlon Sports India's project. And like we've always said, try breaking it up into 3 parts: happy teammates, users, and community.
Absolutely.
And for me, turnover is only a consequence. For me, don't break your head with turnover. It is important.
Yeah.
But the way you do it is more important than the consequence itself.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just trying to recall as well for myself. You have the country challenge, and you have the city local project. And what you just said was to really take care of your strength, what I'm really good at, my talents, the passion, and the company needs, right? That's how you write the mission?
Yeah, absolutely, Palak, yeah.
But my question is, when you start, sorry, I'm listening my voice, sorry. When you start writing your mission, other than this, are there any other factors that we have to really take care in terms of the environment, in terms of the ecosystem?
Yeah, so I start, and I encourage everyone to start thinking about it. For example, I start noting down what I'm going to do in my mission early in September, October of each year for the following year.
Wow.
So at least I have 60 to 70% of what I would like to do ready. After the leaders meet in November, I align it with the country. And in December, I take feedback from my ecosystem, plus I share it with the store leaders. And then we get going on January 1. Why I'm saying this is important is more often than not, we wait for someone to say, this is my mission, please copy paste it and change some numbers. I would encourage everyone to work backwards. As long as you have your store project or a city project, you know you're a sport leader, you have a particular sport, you know your turnover for the following year in September. So at least it's important to reflect for yourself, to write down, okay, this is what I would like to do next year.
Yeah.
And then after that, your leader, your reference can challenge you, but you have to take the first step. Otherwise, you'll just be copy pasting another one's mission and you won't be challenged. So if you want to improve, and I mentioned at the beginning that autonomy is important in Decathlon, this is a sign of autonomy.
Yeah.
That you're prepared, but you align after we collectively decide.
Yeah. I'm just trying to put myself in the situation of sport leader, because how do you really make such comparison? I remember my experience as well. Like my leader gave me the mission file of her, and then I wrote my mission. And I'm sure this is what is happening. So, and now I see you that you're already asking us to really jot down 80% in terms of what you want to do. And then 20% is just the alignment that you are sharing with us. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Pala. Because I mean, that's how you develop yourself. So my advice is don't wait. See, because everyone knows, everyone has common sense and we know what is important. So at least write it down for yourself. Like that you're prepared better.
Yeah. And you're right, because the way I relate is you have already, the format is teammate, you have the user, and you have a community. We already have that playing field. And I see where the local project comes in. And by the time it comes in, I'm already ready with my strengths, what I'm good at, what I'm passionate about. Okay, great. Do you, and another question that comes to my mind is, when it comes to taking an autonomy, and you just said giving responsibility quickly and you don't need to wait. In that particular scenario, has there been any experience with you where you have come across a teammate and they are able to write teammate, shareholder, customer, and community happiness in terms of writing the mission?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the store leaders do it by themselves. A lot of sport leaders also have some clarity. It's just about helping them make that final step of, framing it in the right direction.
Okay. And now we are almost close to, you said your strength, be who you are, because in the beginning you said you try to show yourself in your mission as well. Here you had a journey of your 10 years from a retail supplier to a store manager to a brand manager, having worked in different cities, starting from, Hyderabad, Delhi, Noida, Kolkata, and, really to try to find your grounding when it comes to being in the role of a city leader now. And what it comes to my mind right now is two things. One is your individual growth, and the second thing is the growth of the company. So what has that been journey like?
So one of the reasons I wanted to do this session is also to share so that everyone can do things quicker than what I did. I think in the first 5 years of my career, I just went, I was just only looking at results. It does not mean that I didn't care about other things, but I was just so focused on the project. I never really took a step back to understand what is also important for me and how I need to develop. Obviously, in individual meetings, a lot of leaders say, okay, you could improve in this, you could improve in that, you could do that.
Yeah.
I had all of that. But the magic happened somewhere in 2015 when Steve said, okay, write down what you need to work on in terms of my own personal development. It could be 2, 3, 4 things. It could be even one thing, but just write it down for yourself. And the magic of writing down is that you become conscious. And once you become conscious, you start working on it. And once you start working on it, you become better. And then you get more habits that you want to change. And it's just a very good cycle to be in.
Yeah.
So for me, the past 5 years, I focus on my development, at least I give myself targets to improve on certain things year on year.
Yeah. And very curious to know, and I'm sure this audience also, because I'm reading their questions, what exactly in your development plan you entail for? Like, what are your, if you have to share your own example, what is there in your development plan?
So for me, I look at the development to improve myself. First, for me, that is the most important thing for me. So, I mean, I can give some concrete examples. For example, in 2015, I wasn't great in my organization because
Okay.
I was just going really, really fast. I was just doing a lot of things, but I kind of didn't organize it the way it could have been. I also worked on my temperament, which means to say my patience.
Okay.
And so once you write this down, it does not mean it will get fixed in 2 months. It might take 2 months, it might take 6 months, it might take 2 years, but you need to keep following it.
Yeah.
So something might take, you can fix it in quick time. Maybe organization is, you can do it. But there are some things that because there's a habits, it might take longer. So yeah, so I've written a lot of things that has really helped me to change myself.
Yeah. Okay. And you know, Suresh, frankly speaking, now because I wasn't expecting this answer, but really I feel I was expecting the 12 behaviors of Decathlon. And you are writing in your document, you are writing beyond your 12 behaviors. So what I understand here is it's not just about being a city leader that you wrote, as your career objective. It is not only about the 12 behaviors that you wrote about it, but here you're talking about your temperament, which is something very personal to you. You are talking about your organization skill, or, the competency that you want to work with. Is this right? I'm just would like to really clarify, because this is really not the 12 behaviors.
Yeah, so I keep it very simple. I write 2 or 3 things that I want to work on each year. It could be very unique to you. I mean, it could be a lot of things, but just be sure that it helps you and the people around you, both professionally and personally. It is for yourself, because the moment you improve yourself, it just helps everyone around.
Yeah.
And obviously, a development plan, I mean, for me, this is the most important skills. I mean, behavior and skills. After that, most people look at a development plan to say, okay, this is what I want to be, and this is where my salary trajectory is. That is important, but just remember that is a direction.
Yeah.
It is only a direction to say, okay, I would eventually like to reach there, but it is only a direction. Don't build a development plan for that purpose. Build a development plan for yourself.
Yeah.
And okay, this is my direction. I want to get there, but that is just a direction.
Yeah. And because you are now talking really in terms of not only 12 behaviors or only the skills and the purpose of the development plan. Thanks for reminding that, because you just said the purpose of the development plan is about yourself, about you. So that's what I'm getting at. In that scenario, what are the advice? Is there any advice that you want to give to our teammates in terms of how do we, how can we really develop ourselves?
So, I mean, it's specific to each teammate, but I suggest you sit down and reflect for yourself. What are your behaviors? What is good about them, and what do you need to work on? Ask people around, ask your family, ask your friends, ask your professional work environment. Take 2 or 3 things and see what you need to do about it.
Yes.
So, for example, when I say organization, I thought about, okay, how do I organize my day better?
Yeah.
One of the things is I am not on social media since 4 years. I've logged on to Instagram and Facebook, but I'm not on social media because it consumes my time.
Yeah.
So if I get less of that, I spend more quality time on other things. So it could be a lot of things. I mean, but just write down, even if it's a very small thing, write it down, because once you become conscious, it's magic. You will work on it.
Yeah, sure. Amazing. And can you share any example or any scenario from your 10-year experience that you had where you built your confidence to get to where you are today?
So, I mean, the very fact that I don't know how it's happened, but right from day one of Decathlon, I was just confident to do things that came my way, and I always worked with my leaders to make it happen. It could It could be, I mean, when I look back, the first thing that gave me confidence was that I knew that I was autonomous.
Yeah.
When my first leader said, okay, you're an artist, place an order.
Absolutely.
By yourself. When I did that, I got confidence. So you just know the moments that, kind of you get the spark that, you're able to do it. And also, I mean, in the individual meeting, in the development plan, you get helped.
Yeah.
Okay, you help yourself by knowing what you want to do, and also your leaders guide you on where you want to go. So for me, that's why I think it's important.
Yeah. And you said you started working in terms of your individual development plan since 2000, your personal development plan since 2015. Do you remember such examples where you had actually written down something at that time and you can really see that today? Anything that have really changed because you actually focused on that, because you made that your objective in that document?
Yeah. So I mean, I've written at least 3 or 4 things each year, or it could be the same things every year, because I need to still work on it. I can say I've improved my organization. I'm patient now, still to improve, but it's at least better than for 3, 4. I'm improving each year. Then I find time to do things that normally people think, oh, I just don't have time. But actually, once you frame what is important for you, you will find the time. So today I find a lot of time to do a lot of things that I would not have done if I did not listen to others.
Amazing. So many one-liners I'm just writing as well. And, thank you, Suresh, for giving us really, to really share this experience with us. And I personally, I have taken some key messages, especially when you said preparation is the key for IDM. When you really said 80% and 20%, wow. And of course, the reason behind why we really ask for IDM files 48 hours before. So thank you for that. Also, the importance of listening and taking feedback, correct? And I'm just trying to see what all other things we spoke about. The importance of mission, but important is to take care of your strength, talent, your passion, and the company needs that we have. And how amazingly you just ended by saying that personal development, when you're working on that, it is beyond your 12 behaviors. It is beyond then the career trajectory or your salary trajectory. So thank you so much. I think we are coming to an end of 40 minutes conversation. Am I right? It's 12:40. So thank you so much, Suresh, for really sharing with us your experience, what has really worked for you, what are the things that you really still follow, and thanks for sharing. Now it's time for Q&A. I hope you are ready.
Yeah, Palak, yeah.
I'm not looking at the audience, but guys, I have your questions, and based on the reputation, we have some questions in front of me, which I'm going to ask Suresh. Okay. What is more important according to you, Suresh, skills or behavior? As a candidate, which one should be given more weightage in your career?
So for me, that's an easy one. I think it's first behavior and then skills. It's easy because you want people with the right attitude, with the right motivation. So for me, motivation comes before talent.
Yeah.
So you first put motivation and then second you put talent, because motivation you cannot teach anyone, but talent sometimes you can teach, or most times you can teach. So I think, Palak, I think there's some issues, Sangeeta.
It's okay. It's okay. We can carry on. Yeah.
So for me, motivation comes first, and for me that is a behavioral trait, and second is talent.
Absolutely.
And why I also speak about this is, it's important that you kind of put your behavior in a development plan to work on, because for me, if you want to build the right discipline, you need to have the right habits, and your habits start forming when you know what you need to work on.
Yeah.
The right habits.
For sure.
So for me, everything is linked.
It's linked. Yes. Another question we have: are there any tools that you follow in terms of writing your development plan other than those 12 behaviors?
No, I mean, I ask myself the questions, I ask myself tough questions. Obviously, we all know the 12 behaviors and it's important. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
But I try to categorize my development within those 12 behaviors. But I ask myself questions each time. What do I need to work on to change myself?
Yeah.
And for me, it starts from yourself.
Okay. All right. We have another question for you. What is the biggest challenge you have faced during any of your IDM? Ooh.
Lot. Over 10 years, you have good IDMs, complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, for me, once if you do not prepare well,
yeah,
the IDM becomes challenging. Because for me, in my mind, I at least want to help as much as possible. And at the end of the day, I want to feel like I've contributed to that person on that day.
Yeah.
But for me, if it's not prepared well, it kind of stops you from sharing more than what you can actually do. And also, I mean, even I have things to improve on, even like when I'm maybe, I mean, I did not do individual meetings well in the past.
Yeah.
So you need to be conscious of that and keep improving on it. So each time, how are we moving forward?
Each time you're trying to be better and better and better. Okay. How flexible should one keep one's mission throughout the year in terms of adding new responsibilities? What is the best way to assess if one activity is leading directly to productivity? Okay, this question is more about how flexible we should be in adding or removing our missions in mission, especially when it comes to our responsibilities.
So I think it's a very good question, and it's something that we all face every year. I think the goal must be clear for your city project, for your store project, for the country. Once the goal is clear, how we reach it can change in your mission, because everything is dynamic. You take today's scenario, you have to relook at how things.
The COVID.
So the goal must be clear. What do I want to achieve in my project by the end of the year? And then the way you do it, if it needs to be adapted, adapt it. But don't, because productivity is the most important thing for growth. Our entire economy depends on everyone being productive. So if your strategies are not aligned or not relevant over the course of the year, change the strategies.
Yeah. Thank you. We have another one, and it's quite interesting, Suresh. How should a part-timer make his or her development plan? What factors should he or she keep in mind while making the development plan?
So so my only advice on this is don't try to make a fantastic A4 with a lot of text, colors. Write 2 or 3 simple things down and write for yourself how are you going to do it, and if you need any help in doing it. That's about it. So one is for your personal behavior and one is for skills. Skills you will always learn, because we've got strong management basics in the stores. We've got Decathlon Exchange. So there are enough avenues for you to learn your skills. You've got your guidance as well in every 4 weeks. Right in your individual meeting, just write 2 or 3 things down and how are you working on it. That's about it. How are you evolving? And you speak. Don't expect your leader to say how you're progressing on that point. I come back to the example. If you want to improve on organization, you write it down. How are you going to improve? You tell your leader how you worked on in the past 4 weeks and how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Don't let the leader say, oh, you don't wait for the leader to give feedback on your development.
Yeah.
You take the initiative to say, okay, I've written this. This is how I feel about it. And what do you feel? That's it. And it's really, really nice.
Yeah. The next 2 questions are really aligned in just what you just said right now. And I really would like to ask you, how aligned were you with your development plan, which you had written for the first time ever? Were you forced to adapt yourself in terms of the development plan based on the changes in the surroundings?
In terms of, so your behaviors is actually a little dynamic, but in terms of where I wanted to go, it's been quite clear, but what I want to kind of share is that is not important. why you want to do it is important more than where you want to go.
Absolutely.
If you want to become a store leader, if you want to become, I don't know, a production team manager, if you want to become a retail referent, or you want to become a CRM referent, it could be any role that you want. If you write for yourself, I want to do that, why do you want to do it is also important. And you ask that question, you'll know what you need to work on.
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, like I said, writing down my professional goals is important, but I don't lose sleep over it.
Yeah. Okay. Until you really master your role. I remember you sharing that with you, sharing with me. Okay. Did you have any challenges that you faced while writing your development plan? Any challenges?
No, because it's quite simple. I know what I need to work on. The easiest thing is to write what you're good at and what you need to improve on. So
yeah, it's about you, nothing else. Okay. We have another question in terms of IDM. How can we improve over IDM format? Or what are the topics we can talk as a part-timer? Interesting.
I think irrespective whether you're a part-timer or a permanent contract in Decathlon, I think the spirit remains the same. So for me, share your pleasure and displeasure. Right before that, if in the event your individual meeting is not happening, please take it as your initiative to remind your leader. Okay, so that is the base. Share your pleasure and displeasure, your mission, what is happening, how you're planning to go about things, your development plan, what you've done in the past 4 weeks linked to your mission and what are the results, what you would like to do in the next 4 weeks. And that's about it. So keep it simple. As long as you follow the same strategy over 12 months and you stick to a plan, you will accomplish what you want to do.
Okay. And now when we are already talking about IDM, how do you find a balance between a real human interaction in order to know the team member well? I remember you speaking about how, even you go beyond to know the teammates, also making it accountable with the key decisions. How do you find a balance between a real human interaction in order to know the team member well in your IDMs?
So I think sport is a good way. So if you have the time to do sport together, please do sport together. And obviously then it's the onus is on the teammate to share their experiences, their pleasures, their displeasures. So the more you open up, it is better for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so for me, sport, taking the onus to share, I think these are little recipes that have always worked well in Decathlon.
Yeah, yeah. And a very interesting question.
Everything is important, but the most important is that you are, see, there's nothing certain in life. Okay, so I do what I would like to do. And today you've got, okay, if you think you've mastered a role, if you think you're prepared for the role, you've got job offers. Please speak to your leader and apply a job offers. So we've got the right ecosystem in Decathlon for everyone to be able to be autonomous in their career. So you prepare yourself, you master your role, you do well in the role. Speak to ecosystem to understand that how well you are doing. If others recognize you, if someone calls you for advice or 10 people recognize you for something, it means you're doing well.
And Suresh, sorry, go ahead, please.
No, go. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share. Yeah.
And just to confirm, when you say ecosystem, it's your leader, it's your coach, it's the users around you, it's the teammates around you. Am I right? Is that what you mean by ecosystem? The reference.
Absolutely. Because sometimes we might think we are not doing well, but sometimes ecosystem might think, oh, the person is really doing well. Sometimes we might be thinking we are doing really well, but maybe the ecosystem around thinks, okay, maybe the person needs to improve further.
Yeah.
So the moment the ecosystem starts recognizing you for your role, personally, you're prepared to take on more responsibility, then I don't see any reason where, obviously, I mean, any reason to stop yourself. Obviously, no world is perfect. No family is perfect. No company is perfect. There will be the odd differences, but then you have to run a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
So you need to know if you're clear on what you want to do. It's a question of time.
Yeah.
It's not a question of when, it's just a question of time.
For sure. Okay. We have another question. It's a bit off track, but what's a day like for you in terms of organizing what you will be doing throughout the day, Suresh? For example, things to do list, reminders, prioritizing. What are the best practices that you follow every day in terms of in terms of being productive?
So I don't have a to-do list because sometimes that might be too short term.
Yeah.
You might think you've done everything for the day, but you're not looking ahead. So I keep a to-do list and also what I would like to do in 2 or 3 months or 4 months or 5 months in terms of strategic goals. I'm a day person, so I wake up early. I do, and then obviously I have my entire year organized.
Yeah.
But what is important is you do sport, try doing sport every day. Try keeping at least an hour for yourself every day to work on something that you wrote in a development plan. And then you have your priorities for the month. So jot it down. So what you write in the individual meeting, make sure it's on a sticky note or what do you call it?
Yeah, sticky notes.
Yeah, so write it down there. But also don't just think of today, okay, I finished my task for today, my job is done. Maybe that is not the right job as well. So that is important, but always look ahead. So because you've ticked off your to-do list does not mean that you've done everything.
You are done everything. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We have another one coming from Falguni. Have you ever faced any situation where the teammate have challenged you? If yes, if yes, how did you handle that situation? A lot of times. Okay, go ahead, Suresh.
Yeah, a lot of times you just need to listen, and then obviously I think you need to be challenged. Everyone needs to be challenged. Everyone needs to be challenged, and that's where we improve.
Yeah.
And if it's a right idea, if it's a right mindset, that's it. You go ahead. So it is important that people. I like to work with people who challenge me.
Yeah.
Okay. So because if you just work with, if the people around you are just listening to you, it means you can be absolutely sure that it's not going well. So more people share on you, it is better for everyone involved.
Yeah. The next question is regarding, the time when you were saying master your role, don't go too fast, take pause and reflection. When you say master your role, what exactly do you think when a teammate is master in that field? What are the things that we should work on when you are saying that, we need to master that?
So, I mean, you cannot, when you say master, it's not a question of time or it's not a question of ticking a box. You would know for yourself when the ecosystem and you know that you're performing, when you're recognized, you know that you're doing well.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not to say you have to work for 4 years, you have to spend so much time. It's not about time or checkbox. Just a question of performance, and then your leader, your ecosystem will recognize it. Also in Decathlon, we give responsibility early.
Yes.
Okay, so the other thing to remember is it does not necessarily mean that because you're an expert in your role, that you're ready for responsibility.
Yeah.
If you're an expert, you also need to work on your management skills and behaviors if you aspire to become a leader, because you need to lead a team.
Yeah, identify that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to strike that balance.
Thank you. We have another one. How do we keep on track of our development plan in the unforeseen circumstances like pandemic?
I think it's the best time to work on your development during the pandemic. You've got time for yourself. So think about what you need to do and how you need to do it. I think it's the best time. It's the best time to work on your development plan. We're doing a lot of trainings. We have a lot of personal time for ourselves. So it's the right moment to sit back and write the things you want to do.
Yeah. And just related to that, how do you really track on teammates' behavioral development?
How do you keep track?
How do you track on teammates' behavior development as a leader?
Yeah, so I don't take it as a, so it's the onus is on the teammate. Okay,
more
so
ownership. Yeah.
100% has to be in the teammate. It is not the responsibility of the leader to keep, because we all grown-ups, we are 22, 23, 32, 42. We know what is right for the project and what is right for us. So the onus must be on the teammate to share.
Yeah.
But it's important for the leader to explain why it is important, to understand the management basics, and then the onus is on the teammate.
Okay. And I think we are almost at the end of the session, but I think, take up this one last question. If there is any downfall in your personal life, how do you manage the situation that it doesn't affect your professional life?
It's a very, very difficult question because it's a very difficult question because it varies from person to person. I mean, what is sure is if it is impacting your work, I am absolutely sure that your leader will be willing to give you some time off. So don't let your personal life, your personal life comes first. So I'm sure Decathlon will understand if you need some time off to really recover and come back strong.
Absolutely.
So don't try to manage a lot of things when there's something personal that you really can't focus on at work. There are other people that stick through it. So it really depends from individual to individual. I mean, everyone is built up of different ways of looking at things. There are some people who can handle it. There are others who just can't handle it.
Yeah.
So it has to be taken on a case-to-case basis.
Sure.
Whatever it is the best decision for you and for everyone around. You need to decide.
Yeah. And please, last question, because it's really interesting. And I think we will end the session with this question. How much time does it take to be at the place where Suresh is?
So it's not an important place. So trust me, it's not about being a city leader or store leader. Like I mentioned, it's about what goals do you have in your life. Okay, so for me, the way I look at this is how can I contribute? How can I contribute to the project and to the city and to the teammates? How can I make it better at the place we are living in? And that's been my approach. So I don't really look at me being a city leader or things like that. You cannot have the tag for the rest of your life. So forget the tag. Think how you can contribute in your project. And as you contribute, you will grow in confidence, you'll grow in responsibility. And it's just a consequence. Because a tag will not stick to you for your entire life. It is who you are that will define it rather than someone putting a tag on yourself.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that.
Great. Thank you so much, Suresh. Really, for sharing your experience. I'm sure our audience was also interested to really know you, your profile in terms of who you are, to really know what really works, what doesn't work in terms of IDM, mission, and development. So can we have a huge round of applause? We just are about to end the session, and I'm just muting. Amazing. I don't know if Suresh managed to see the people, but yeah, I just unmuted everybody for a few seconds just to really close this session. Thank you so much to our live audience on YouTube, and thank you so much to our audience on Zoom. We really need you for like 1 more minute because we don't know who are the people coming from where. There is a form that, yes, Suresh, of course.
If I can just add the last thing. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening for the past hour.
In fact, I was coming to you.
So thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, you can email me. I can respond to you. We can again have a quick chat if you have any further doubts. Sorry for the first 15 minutes because we did a rehearsal yesterday and everything went well with the earphones. But these are cheap earphones. I need to buy something better. So I'll do that. But thank you for listening for the past hour.
And Suresh, just to really end one last time, do you have any parting words for our audience?
Yes. Two things. One, it is important that irrespective of which stage of your career you're in, it's important to listen I think it's a very, very important trait. And two, the capacity to say, to know that you do not know everything.
Yeah.
So the more you say, I don't know, you will grow faster.
Wow.
So these two things are very, very important, to listen and to learn. So the two L's.
Yeah, two L's.
I've just made that up. So don't forget the two L's.
Especially to learn to say, I don't know. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much once again, Suresh, for being with us and sharing all the practices that you really share. Thank you, audience.